TransMedics, both as a company and as an investment, has a lot going for it. They save lives. They have developed an incredibly comprehensive product that is basically revitalizing organs and allows them to be transported. Really high switching costs. They're now building a network effect with their airline, helping hospitals get organs quicker. They have this product heavily patented. There is a lot going for them. And I covered TransMedics in the summer when they were at all-time highs of $170 a share. Now they have crashed over 50% to below $70 a share. And this begs the question, is the company worth revisiting and making an investment? You can now see that the price to sales and price to gross profits are pretty much the lowest that has ever been since IPO, whilst the company continues to post impressive growth rates in the very high double digits. What was interesting though is in the last quarter, whilst they missed on revenue, their full year guidance remained very strong. And it seems that the temporary bump in organ deliveries was just a systemic issue across the United States and less organs were performed overall. As you can see from this data, which estimates the total number of organs which took a dip, and TransMedics, which also took a dip, and they've kept their market share constant at 22%. So now the question becomes, does this make this company undervalued? Now, you can see in a base case DCF that I've built, we've got very fast growth from this year, forecast from the analysts, and then it normalizes to 20%. If they manage to sustain that 20% growth, which is just a proxy, I mean, this is what the bulls in the industry would probably go at, then the shares are worth $113. Let's say if we scale that growth down from FY29, they're going to grow just 15%, then actually you get a fair value closer to $94, but still a fair amount of upside on the current share price of just $70 a share. But after much consideration and me really thinking hard about this company, I am going to give it a miss. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to go back through this spreadsheet now. And one of the main things is total addressable market. Now, I went through these figures in great detail in my deep dive video. So if you would like a full explanation of exactly how I arrived at all of them, please check that out. But the overall problem remains is that you've got, in the United States, a rough total addressable market of anywhere from 3 to 4 billion. And this is the thing. This is total addressable market, right? So there are currently about 40,000 organ transplants done in America every single year, 18,200 of which are lungs, liver, and heart, right? Now, a lot of them are kidneys, and the kidney is an easier organ to transplant. People can live without kidneys, and it basically is not as crucial and not as difficult to transport in cold storage. It has a longer life, effectively. So out of the 100,000 transplants a year that are needed in the US, roughly 40,000 of them are heart, lungs, and liver. If TransMedics did every single one of those on an $80,000 use case for each one, 50,000 for single-use parts and 30,000 for logistics and transport, you're basically getting a TAM of 3.2 billion. Add in actually what is a relatively negligible cost of buying 75 machines a year. Now, this is another thing to consider, is that all of TransMedics products in the United States were all approved relatively recently. And I think what's going on, and is a big reason why you're seeing such a fast growth rate, is that all the hospitals have been adopting this sort of en masse over the past couple of years. Now, what you can see is the total revenue wasn't really doing much. And then for the past few years, we've had this massive increase in adoption. The problem that we've got, going back to the spreadsheet, is these figures of 3.2 billion. That's the total TAM, with TransMedics having 100% market share, and their United States revenue is already approaching 400 million annually. So they've only got a TAM to revenue multiple of about 9, and this really leaves no room for error. And it might be that they can do one more year of doubling, but after that, I really think these growth rates are going to slow. You can see their long-term gross margin target is 65%. We may get a bit of a lower gross margin in the near term because they're focusing on the airline. And yeah, it just doesn't leave a huge TAM. I mean, this is gross profit. This is global total addressable market. If you think about that total TAM, what, 3.2 billion multiplied by 65%, I mean, you're getting what, just around about 2.5 billion roughly in gross profit TAM, which is just not that much. I mean, the market cap's 2.5 billion and they're currently making about a tenth of this total gross profit in gross profit already. So they really just haven't got a big market. Now, a lot of people would say, what about Europe? What about international? I absolutely get that. On my spreadsheet, I have roughly 20% of organ transplants are done in the US, but also I've made the assumption that costs and prices will be higher in the US, which will result in greater revenue and hospitals willing to make the plunge. But the problem that we've got is these organ care systems were approved in Europe, and they were approved pretty early on in 2006, 2011, and 2014. Now, they're clearly life-saving, right? Because with cold storage, it's difficult to transport, and also it just means, yeah, there's a lot of wastage. There's a lot of people that want to donate their organs. There's a lot of people that need those organs, but because effectively cold storage is not as effective, like it doesn't increase the health of the organ, it just decreases the health of the organ. TransMedics actually increases the health of the organ whilst it's out of the body through their state-of-the-art machines, and then it goes into the next person being very healthy. What I worry about is these machines were approved so early on, and still we're not getting any notable international revenue, almost none at all. And this is what I worry about. It's like these organ care systems, they were approved in Europe, which you can argue is the next biggest market after the US, a while ago. And they've been clearly showing their life-saving abilities for a long time. But the problem is that you've got hospitals that effectively can't get these machines reimbursed. The cost of the machines and the cost of using them is so high that for whatever reason it's not taking off internationally. The problem is that this isn't a new product. This is not a company that was founded in 2015 or 2019. This is a company that's been around for the best part of 25 years. And for them to have these systems ready a long time ago, for them to still not be adopted almost anywhere internationally. And yeah, at the moment they're in such a fast growth phase because they were approved in the US a few years ago. It's all catching on, and then they've got the recurring revenue from all the machines that they initially set up in America. So it looks like they're growing so quickly, and they are an amazing company with what they do. But I'm just saying that when you really look at it, the total addressable market is just not that high. If they can get global, the total addressable market looks to be much closer to 10 billion. My conservative-ish estimates say around about 7 billion, but I mean, for the US alone, we're talking roughly 3 billion at a massive push, 4 billion. But that's them literally doing every single organ transplant in America with absolutely nothing else going on at any time. And also, this is their core products. They're improving their logistics and delivery through the airline of this actual system, but they're not expanding into anything new and crazy. And if they do, then it's going to have to be some state-of-the-art device like this, and it's going to take them a long time to create it. That and the fact that they're still in a cash burning stage and they've acquired an airline. Despite the amazing growth and what is quite a compelling valuation, my gut just tells me that eventually this growth rate is going to slow down without international expansion. If I see international expansion, then all of a sudden the total addressable market jumps from 3 billion to 7 billion on current revenues of 400 million. That's a little bit better. That's almost a TAM to revenue of 20. But when you've got a TAM to revenue of 10, and I'm pretty sure it's not much higher than that because like the growth in demand for organ transplants is only so high. I mean, what's it going to be? Low to mid single digits tops. And yeah, it's very clear there's not an infinite total addressable market. It's not like, oh, you can use AI to do more and more things and it gets more comprehensive. Like these machines are built with very, very specific use cases. and there is only so much demand. And for them to have 100% market share and do everything and execute everything perfectly all the time, and for that in the United States, the only country where they're really seeing meaningful growth, to only be 9 times revenue, that is risky for me. And yeah, so unfortunately for me, it's a no for TransMedics. But yeah, that's the conclusion. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you for the next one.